And joining me now is Julia Manchester. She is a reporter for The Hill. Julia, thank you for being with us. Let's get back to the Kavanaugh FBI investigation. So the president says that he's okay with the FBI interviewing all three accusers. So if the FBI is conducting a limited scope investigation, which is what we've been told, does this embolden Democrats then to continue pushing back on this point? Because there is some uncertainty as to whether the third accuser is actually being interviewed by the FBI.
It absolutely emboldens Democrats, Tanya. I think we saw a lot of Democratic senators this week, including Amy Klobuchar, saying that limiting the scope of the investigation won't allow the FBI to really get to the bottom of a lot of the accusations that have been made. In terms of the three accusations, we saw that Brett Kavanaugh has really pushed back against all three of them. But in particular, he talked about how this accusations made by Julie Swetnick about him. She basically said she witnessed him taking part in misconduct at parties and gang rapes during his time in high school. So he's really pushed back against those. But I think the president is also in a very difficult situation at this point. You know, he wants the FBI to be able to wrap this investigation up in a timely manner so he can fulfill yet another campaign promise of getting another conservative Supreme Court judge confirmed and on the court. However, there is a lot of public pushback to the way Republicans have handled this situation and Kavanaugh's popularity at this point. So the president, I think, is trying to walk a fine line right now.
And of course, there are those moderate Republicans to worry about from the president's perspective. I mean, Senator Susan Collins reportedly said in an email, "I am confident that the FBI will follow up on any leads that result from the interviews." So a limited FBI probe might impact how moderate Republicans such as Collins and some Democrats react to this investigation, correct?
Absolutely. It's going to, whatever outcomes come out of that probe will affect their decisions. And if if Republicans are happy with those outcomes, I would say that the other moderate Republicans will be okay with this. The longer this goes on, that opens the possibility for more to be uncovered in all of this. So I think Trump and the Republicans trying to push Kavanaugh through and and who are trying to, I guess, persuade those moderate Republicans would like this done as soon as possible, so a limited scope would work in their favor.
Now, I want to mention that in a memo by the outside counsel hired by Republican members for the hearing, Rachel Mitchell writes that this case is incredibly difficult to prove, but this one is even weaker than that. How are senators reacting to this? Are Republicans sort of jumping on it?
I think Republicans are happy with this. This was the the objective prosecutor they hired to do the questioning at the hearing. And I think Democrats would hit back at it saying, well, we're not trying to bring a case against Kavanaugh. We're just trying to prove that he wasn't necessarily honest with what he said during this testimony.
Right.
So, two different things really going on. But I think Republicans will likely jump on this saying she's an objective third party at this point.
Now, Julia, there is new polling by CBS that shows 35% of Americans now believe Kavanaugh should be confirmed, but 37% believe he should not. Both of those numbers increased slightly from last week and are split among party lines. So did the testimony by both Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh really make a difference among Americans?
Tanya, what was interesting about the testimony and the Republicans and Democrats I talked to is Democrats witnessed Christine Blasey Ford's testimony as something of her speaking up for women across the country. They viewed her as a sort of hero in all of this. However, Republicans looked at Kavanaugh's testimony and essentially thought the same thing, that he was defending himself, defending his family against what they say are false accusations. So two very different takeaways from all of this. So I think depending on your party affiliation and your partisan affiliation at this point, that's the ultimate takeaway from this testimony. I think the voters that are truly we have to look at are those swing voters ahead of the midterms. And right now we're seeing that white, college-educated, suburban women in particular are being targeted by both Democrats and Republicans, but they're leaning more Democratic lately. And they used to be more of a core constituency for Republicans. And those voters, I would say, from the polling that we've seen, have actually kind of pushed back against Kavanaugh's testimony and have said that Christine Blasey Ford was more believable valuable in that they were able to connect with her. So definitely those swing voters are what we have to watch.
And speaking to the issue of credibility, Julia, a former classmate of Kavanaugh's at Yale released a statement accusing him of not telling the truth under oath about his college drinking habits, saying he had, firsthand, experience otherwise. So the president dismissed all of that today, though. So why would this matter at this point? Why is the way that Kavanaugh characterized his drinking both in high school and in college, why is that important now?
Well, it seems that drinking has really been one of the major points of these accusations, that a lot of the sexual misconduct allegedly happened when he was under the influence of alcohol, or that's what seems to have been implied at this point. However, it's not the main accusation. The issue at hand is sexual assault and sexual misconduct. And I think, this could be a major issue for Kavanaugh because he's essentially accusing him of lying in front of Congress, which is a crime. But I think that this is also a he said, a lot of people view this as a he said, she said thing. So I don't know if this will gain traction. But
so Julia,
it's
you really think
on.
that this is only about sexual assault? It's not about credibility?
I mean, it absolutely has to do with credibility as well. What I was saying is, I think it's sexual assault is at the core, is one of the issues at the core of this, but bringing in alcohol is also another issue to take at hand. I think all three of those issues play a major role in this.
All right, Julia Manchester, thank you so much for joining us today with your insights.
Thank you.